presentation is a lot of gloom and doom, so I'll get the gloomiest and doomiest part out of the way. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I'm here to help. What I'm going to be speaking on is the historic rise in federal spending and debt, and what it means for our economy, for our ability to prosper, to create jobs, to raise income, to reduce poverty, and to leave a better country to our kids and our grandkids than the country we have for ourselves. Since 2007, the budget deficit has nearly decoupled from $160 billion to $1.5 trillion. That means that right now, 40 cents out of every dollar Washington spends is borrowed. By the end of this decade, the deficit is going to be nearly $2 trillion a year. And that assumes peace, prosperity, and low interest rates. That's the rosy scenario. In the 80s and 90s, Washington spent $22,000 per household per year. You think that's a lot. This year, $31,000 per household is what Washington will spend. Raise your hand if you're getting your money's worth. The next basic question, well, what's driving spending so high? Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and as a result, debt interest are the main drivers. This is the composition of the federal budget over the past 50 years. Under President Kennedy, we spent half the budget on defense. Now we spend 1/5, and that's including the war on terrorism. That's including everything. Social Security and Medicare, however, are growing a lot, up to 1/3 of the budget, and it's on course to keep going after that, up to 40, 50, 60, 70% of the budget. Essentially, the national security state has been replaced by the entitlement state. We could just cut other spending. If we were to cut other spending, we'd actually have to eliminate every program in the entire federal budget to make up for this cost. You'd have to close down the Defense Department, the Department of Transportation, Homeland Security, you name it. Just to put a finer point on the easy search for alternative solutions. You know, I talk to a lot of people and they say, well, if we just repeal the tax cuts for the rich, problem solved. Ending the tax cuts for the rich comes to 1/30 of the cost of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid over the next decade. I hear other people say, well, if we just eliminate foreign aid, 1/33 of the cost of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. So what do? We don't want to tax our way out of it. We can't eliminate other programs. Let's modernize and fix Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Reform is the only way to avoid an economic crisis. In the absence of reform, we are going to face real economic difficulties. But it doesn't have to be this way. We have overcome depressions. We have overcome world wars. We can overcome this. But it's not going to happen automatically. The reason we're going to overcome this is because I believe that this nation is going to get together and roll up our sleeves, old and young, Republican and Democrat, and actually address this. But you have to take the lead. Because let me tell you, the reason I titled my presentation, What Washington Won't Tell You, politicians don't want to tell you this. They know about it, but they don't want to tell you how bad things are going to get because they're afraid that if you know how bad things are going to be, you'll vote them out of office. They basically don't trust you with this information. They're in the business of handing out goodies. They're not in the business of telling you, look, the system is unsustainable. So it's important to realize you are the ones who have to take the lead and convince lawmakers that you're ready for an adult conversation. Even if you don't even like the reforms, even if you don't like my solutions, fine. But we need to have a conversation as a nation on this. And I want you to take the lead on that.